Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Islamic Economic Series. Today, we're going to dive into a principle that sits right at the very heart of the Islamic economic system, distributive justice. And this isn't just some add-on policy, It's really the central organizing objective that shapes the entire framework.
So, this really gets to the core of it, doesn't it? This is the fundamental question every single economic system tries to answer. You've got capitalism, you've got socialism, they all have their own take. Today, we're going to explore the unique and pretty comprehensive framework that Islamic economics brings to the table to tackle this exact challenge.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll look at the unique vision that sets Islamic economics apart. Then, we'll break down its three core goals for distribution. After that, we'll explore the actual strategy it proposes. Then, we'll get into the nitty-gritty with some key measures in action, and finally, we'll tie it all together to see the big, holistic picture.
All right, let's jump right in. To really get a grip on this, it's crucial to understand that the Islamic economic approach starts from a fundamentally different place. We're not talking about just tweaking existing models here. It's about completely redefining the priorities of the whole system from the ground up.
This slide really highlights that massive shift in thinking. On one hand, you have conventional economics, which historically has been all about production, right? Making more and more stuff. Distribution, how that stuff gets divided up, well, that's often been treated as a secondary problem. But Islamic economics flips that script completely. It's explicitly value-based from the start, which means a just distribution of resources isn't an afterthought. It's a primary goal of all economic activity. It's baked in from the beginning.
Okay, so if we're saying that justice distribution is a top priority, the next logical question is, well, what does that justice actually look like? What are the specific targets the system is really trying to hit?
The whole framework for distributive justice can really be boiled down to three fundamental, interconnected goals. And listen, these aren't just vague, feel-good ideals. We're talking about specific, actionable targets that are meant to guide real policy.
So let's break these down. First, the absolute foundation, guaranteeing that the basic needs of every single person are fulfilled. This is totally non-negotiable. Second, the system aims for equity, not absolute equality. And that's a really key distinction. It recognizes that people contribute in different ways, but it demands fair returns. And third, it actively works to get rid of those extreme inequalities in income and wealth, the kinds of massive gaps that we know can be so damaging to social stability.
You see, the philosophy behind these goals goes so much deeper than just mechanically moving money around. These economic principles are designed to build social cohesion and a real sense of brotherhood. The whole point is to prevent the friction, the resentment, and the instability that always crop up when you have huge economic divides.
So we've covered the what, the goals we're aiming for. Now let's get into the how. How do you actually achieve these things? Well, it's not about wishful thinking. Islam proposes a very practical and robust strategy, what we'll call an institutional approach.
Now, this is a really key concept. The Islamic framework isn't anti-market, not at all. It uses the market as a vital tool for producing and allocating resources. However, and this is a big however, it recognizes that the market, left completely to its own devices, can lead to some really unjust outcomes and massive inequality. So, it supplements the market with other institutions designed specifically to correct those imbalances and guide the outcomes towards justice.
And this strategy is really multi-layered. It uses a whole variety of tools, not just a single policy. It tends to favor a decentralized, ground-up approach, starting at the local level. What's also really clever is that a lot of these measures are multi-purpose. For example, a wealth tax doesn't just fund social programs, it also helps reduce the concentration of wealth at the top. And finally, it uses a smart mix of compulsory measures and voluntary ones to create a social safety net that's both strong and flexible.
Okay, so we've got the goals and the overall strategy. Now let's get down to brass tacks and look at some of the concrete, practical tools that are part of this institutional framework.
Central to everything is zakah. And we need to be crystal clear. This isn't just charity. It's a compulsory, institutionalized levy on accumulated wealth. You can think of it as a cornerstone of the entire fiscal system. It's designed to ensure there's a permanent, reliable transfer of resources to those in need, directly tackling those goals of meeting basic needs and reducing inequality.
Another incredibly powerful built-in mechanism is the Islamic law of inheritance. By requiring that a person's estate be divided up among a specific set of heirs, it basically acts as an automatic tool for wealth distribution.
Over generations, this system systematically breaks down large fortunes and makes sure wealth circulates more widely throughout society instead of being hoarded.
Now, distributive justice isn't just about what happens after the money's been made. It's also about ensuring fairness in the market itself. That means prohibiting exploitative practices like interest or riba and monopolies. At the same time, it encourages models based on profit sharing, where risk and reward are distributed more fairly. The goal is to make the marketplace itself a more equitable arena.
This quote from the source material really sums it all up perfectly. It's a dual approach, right? You let the market function, but you use this comprehensive integrated system of taxes, transfers, and regulations to nudge the outcomes toward those ultimate goals of justice and equity. It's a partnership, not a battle.
So as we bring all these threads together, it's absolutely essential to see how integrated this whole vision is. This isn't just a random collection of policies, it's a coherent and truly holistic framework where every piece is designed to support the others. And really, the key takeaway here is that while getting rid of poverty is a huge priority, the ultimate objective is so much broader. The system aims to relieve all kinds of hardship, whether you're a debtor, a traveler in distress, or a victim of some calamity. The end game is to guarantee a secure, dignified life for every single member of society.
And that leaves us with a final, pretty big question to think about. In a world like ours, grappling with extreme inequality and social fragmentation, what kind of relevant insights can a value-based framework like this offer us? How could it help us tackle our modern, complex economic challenges? That's definitely a question worth some serious thought. See you in the next one. Subscribe, like, and comment.